Hello there. We're so glad you've joined us as launch director at the Tokyo Bayside launch facility. That's our first prototype rocket on the launch pad in front of you. Head over to launch operations at the far end of the spaceport, and I'll talk you through your first launch. The vehicle assembly building is on the left at the top of the next ramp. Here, you can see our prototype rockets up close. After you've looked around the VAB, head into the control center. It's on the right at the top of the ramp. The control center is where we authorize the launch of our rockets. You'll configure the launch from the middle screen on the bank of wall displays. Head over to it. The left panel displays our flight objectives. We want the rocket to achieve a certain altitude under its own power. This is called the powered altitude target. However, we can only load as much fuel as our budget allows. This is the cost target. The current fuel price shows us the cost for each percentage we fill the rocket's fuel tank by. With a cost target of $20,000 and a current fuel price of $1,000 per percent, we can only fill up to 20% of the rocket's fuel tank. The right panel is where we'll configure the rocket. First, we will set the fuel volume as a percentage of the tank capacity. Next, we will set the rocket's main engine to cut off when it has used a certain percentage of the fuel on board. This is known as MECO at percentage of fuel on board used. By not using all our available fuel for launch, we will be able to relight the engine for a propulsive landing. If you don't leave enough fuel in reserve, the rocket will land too hard and crash. If you leave too much fuel in reserve, the rocket may actually launch again, then fall back to Earth from a great height. Let's look at an example of how we could configure this rocket. If we set fuel volume percentage to 15, this would fill 15% of the rocket's tank. At a current fuel price of $1,000 per percent, this would cost $15,000. This is within our cost target of $20,000. If we then set MECO at percentage of fuel on board used to 90, the engine will cut off when 90% of the fuel we loaded has been used. This will leave 10% of the fuel we loaded. That is, 1.5% of the fuel tank's total capacity. Remember, the rocket's tanks were only 15% full for a propulsive landing. It's your turn. Configure the fuel volume percentage and MECO at percentage of fuel on board used parameters, then click Validate when you're ready to launch. It's time to launch the rocket. You can view the launch from the launch viewing area, which is at the top of the ramp between this control center and the launch pad. Or, if you're feeling brave, you can head to the launch pad and view the launch up close from only a few hundred meters away. Congratulations, that's our first successful rocket launch. We'll prepare the next prototype, and see you later tonight. The team has prepared our next rocket on the launch pad. It's bigger, heavier, and more powerful because the liquid fuel engine is supported by solid rocket boosters. Head over to the control center and set up the launch. It's time to launch the rocket. You can view the launch from the launch viewing area, which is at the top of the ramp between this control center and the launch pad. Or, if you're feeling brave, you can head to the launch pad and view the launch up close from only a few hundred meters away. Great job! That's another step on our journey to building bigger and better rockets. We'll prepare the final prototype and launch at dawn. This is it, our final rocket design. If this goes well, we can start launching payloads for customers. Head over to the control center and set up the launch. It's time to launch the rocket. You can view the launch from the launch viewing area, which is at the top of the ramp between this control center and the launch pad. Or, if you're feeling brave, you can head to the launch pad and view the launch up close from only a few hundred meters away. restarts, just press the L key and you'll find yourself back in the control center. You'll then be able to reconfigure the launch from the same control panel as before. Our new space venture is a huge success. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again soon.